Nendagaronga akatama inza atalongeri bantu bwesi kurusa kutwala abwingi kujingira ningira ndime muhumwe nalyo kwangu lya kuibana. Mulalutugo Baromwana mulalutugo uwaleza Imuntu ulaliga mwana munini imuyeye uligo yenya muntu ulaliga munyama kutabucha bite buli nguwe Nabezuma mwagaja musamu mwagaja mujelo muyandaula kuhuba kuti musumpuge oyi munganga wa munina amu mutale kukolisa gangwe Amu balega bana banini bayiye jigolomba baleri bajumo mutabanyonganyi munkwera barombwana mulile mere muri bantu Bana banini banganga kuya minwanga ninkugiya mina bana kuti balarumwa muyuni ikuya mina ndineno basa ena kulijirubire kulingiwe
I was born in a family of 9, and I'm the fourth born. Yeah. So my father is from Mozambique. So my mother, she's a Zimbabwean. So my father came to Zimbabwe when he was fleeing. There was war in Mozambique. So they fled there and then came to Zimbabwe, and then that's where he met my mother.
This is Chikuni Mission. It was founded in 1905, but I would say the radio station where we are here started in 2000. That was the official broadcast.
My name is Otna Mango Mamoyo, and I'm a musician, an artist, an instrument builder. I also write some stuff, like document stuff and I'm from Zimbabwe. I was born and bred in a city called Bulawayo.
My name is Matthew Temple. I studied music after high school. Before then, so when I was 19, 20. But before then, I didn't envision myself to be a musician, And I'm the oldest of 4 other siblings.
And then my father used to tell us that his father was a varimba player, varimba from Mozambique, and also he used to play mbiras. But when my father looked at this type of mbiras, he was like, it's totally different. So even today, I wish I could meet someone with those type of mbiras.
Father was a drum player. It was that was made at home. My mother was a very good dancer and singer.
Yes.
And my grandfather was playing the Njari type of mbira from Tsenga, Zambia.
Yes.
Long back. He left a copy of that one.
Yes.
But then, because movements, the copy was lost somehow. And then it came to me in my dream.
Yeah.
So that's why I was able to play the mbira. I'm the only one who I play mbiras in the family, in the Chawasarwe family. The rest are of the apostolic faith.
In Zimbabwe, where where they have studied these things, they call them marimbas. But also, what they've done is instead of using gourds, because those are not readily available, they use like polypipes.
Yeah, pipes.
Yeah, you know. So, but the science is the same. Of course, the tunings are going to be different from one ethnic group to the next. Even when you go to Western Province, the Nkoya tuning is different from the Lozi tuning. You know. So Silimba marimba is the same thing. Even here, some people call it marimba, but Silimba is more authentic because that's what these people. Well, if you're playing a Silimba, if you're playing the instrument, if the instrument was made by a Lozi person, then they definitely call it a Silimba. So yeah, but it's and then Kalimba. Well, Kalimba is quite widespread. I think the whole of Southern Africa, we use these instruments. We call these instruments Kalimba, and like I say, Imba is sing. So Kalimba, ka is like it's a ka. We use it to mean something small, to denote something little. So Kalimba means a small thing that sings. Basically, you are describing what the instrument, well, what it looks like, but also what it does.
With Bira, I had a specific teacher called Security, who was from Bira. So he taught me this Bira like this one. This is called Yamaroba Chuni. Yamaroba is a Bira called Nari. Nari being meaning the telephone to the ancestors. So this is the telephone to the ancestors. The Bira Wuru, which also means the big Bira. Big Wuru, not meaning in terms of size, but Wuru in terms of uses. So its uses is like the biggest of them all.
Okay, I'll start with the first one. The first one was Ngororombe. Ngororombe, which is the pen pipes. So this is normally the music for unifying the community. Yeah, so it's done by the community. It can be maybe from 15 players, 30 players, 50 players. So the practice of just practicing to put together a piece shows the unity within the community. And then in so doing, Ngororombe is also used for mental health. So after everyone has done their work and then they meet together, so also to deal with stress, with depression, to deal with emotions and stuff, they express themselves through Ngororombe. And you find that the Ngororombe has got a frequency which is sort of, I can't say disturbing, but dealing with the mental state here. So after Ngororombe is also accompanied by drumming. The drumming for Ngororombe is also called Ngoma Zengororombe. These were Ngoma. So starting with the two which are called Kausindi or Mito, or can be called Tunguiro when they are played together. One is female, one is male, so they play together. And then that one is Mtumba, but a smaller version because it's played by the younger generation. So it can be Mutumba or Mbiti if it's that range. And then this one is called Chenje or Dandi. So within those drums accompany Ngororombe, so that like Ngororombe is to deal with with the state of mind, and then the drum is like calling the people.
And we are in the Tonga land. I call it the Tonga land because here it's the Tonga speaking people, one of the major languages in Zambia. So through music, the station thought of not only broadcasting and maybe evangelizing, but preserving this culture, not only again through playing music, but I mean, when I say playing music, I mean playing music on radio, but it went into as far as having what we call the annual festive season, in simply called the concert.
kanda umurombeja aga jirenga tumurumba no bantu tumurumbe jirenga wagatupa ipe komunyiga.
Wrong approach. They passed a law that no, these people are singing or praying in Latin, but they don't understand. So they should be allowed to use their own vernacular language to sing in the church, use their instruments and pray. So the priests now, those who were gifted, started to arrange songs, should I say, pieces from the Bible. Pieces, the Psalms, whatever, in the Bible, without tunes. Then the book was thrown to those who were gifted. I was one of the first ones to do that. Myself, Father Ribery was the one who just in the Ponde. Mr. Stephen Ponde in Mashingo, Father Lena. So we started now composing, and they wanted us to compose the songs which were purely African into the church. Yes. So we started composing songs, with quite a number of songs in the Roman Catholic Church. They wanted us to portray or to bring out the way the people use thrashing of crops, such songs, the songs for the riddles, Gano, the songs for hunting, hunting songs used by our ancestors. Such tunes were accommodated in the church, in the Roman Catholic Church.
Christianity has had an impact on our music for sure. Here we have the UCZ and maybe Catholic too, a little bit. These, at some point, they were open to incorporating our own instruments, like indigenous instruments into their music, But for example, when you talk about like these Pentecostal churches and they didn't want to have anything to do with that because they thought it was music from, music that was used to worship the devil, and so they had their own Christian, this Western music, which became like standard, Christian music, and then our music was like, you can't play that in church.
This thing of traditional music, firstly, because of where I come from as a church, the kind of music in the Catholic is very traditional. So there's that natural traditional interpretation and let me say, what the initiation inside.
Yeah, I think firstly, from the Bible, it says we have to worship our God using whatever kind of instrument we have, whether it is contemporary or traditional. Katipemberedze Mwari wedu tichiridza ngoma nehosho nehwamanda, the horns, the ngomas, and whatever instruments. If it means the mbira itself, let's use the mbira to worship the Lord. But now, because of culture dynamic. And it's very simple for someone to be like, to change his ways and go to other ways, which I think is not bad, because everyone else has got the right to choose what he or she wants to do.
I think to find the best solutions, we have to look at the challenges. Yeah. What makes it difficult for the younger generation nowadays to access Mbira, to play it freely, without fear of being laughed at in the street? Or, yeah, I think we have to take a good look at that. Because nowadays we have many factors that causes the younger generation to actually forsake our traditional instruments, not only the Mbira. I'll mention one first, religion. You know, the religions that we have nowadays, many of them, they condemn this Mbira officially. Oh. Yeah, they condemn it. Yeah. You cannot successfully walk into a church with Mbira to play when other musicians are playing their guitars. Or
and the type of drumming which was then expected had to have no connection or no linkage with the spiritual dance and the drumming. It was to be a drumming of its own.
Traditional instruments were discouraged, and also hospitals, for example, when they came in, because there was all those rituals that people did, mashale, we call them in Zambia, and people would dance to heal themselves, you know, and when these hospitals came in, for example, missionaries, because they also brought hospitals, they're like, you know, instead of you dancing, you know, you can get drugs, you know. Yeah. So there was all these things that kind of like negatively impacted the development of our indigenous music.
as much as our instruments are associated with our ancestors and our traditional beliefs, but they can still be played freely. That's one thing we have to come open on that and make sure everybody gets to understand that this instrument on its own, without anybody playing it, is not wicked. It's not a traditional instrument that is only used to summon the ancestors or what. You know, even back in the days, it would also be played in other joyful ceremonies. You know, Nimbe, where not even the demo ones, as they call them, our ancestors were summoned. Exactly. So it's one of the things that people have to really admit, that this is an innocent instrument. As much as we use it in our bira, in our traditional ceremonies, but this is an open and a free instrument. Once we get to understand that, even those that are scared to touch it, you know, there are people who are scared to touch this. You know, you leave it on their desks, they won't touch it. So that fear, I think it has to be clarified, that this is a free and an open instrument. I think that side, that way people can be willing to learn it.
young ones should be taught also how to make business.
Yes.
Should be taught how to make it so that you teach others. I being a teacher, I put that spirit of wanting to teach more people to do this, to play the African music. I've not been doing it for business. I'm sorry to have to say. I've been doing it for the interest of being a teacher who should teach others, especially the young ones, how to play and make marimbas and the leaders.
There is a lot of Americans who came to Zimbabwe and learn Mbira and then go back to the States and teach their community. Yeah, we have a lot of Americans who does that. So that also when I saw their instruments, their marimbas, it is totally different from ours. They came here and studied the marimbas, how to build them. Then when they went back there, they take it to another level. I think if we will not be careful, in the next 10 years, we end up buying marimbas from United States or buying mbiras from United States. So that inspired me to say, no, I have to learn how to build these instruments. But already at David Gweshe, David Gweshe used to build his own marimbas. So I learned a lot there. We also teach them how to build those instruments as well. Yeah, they know how to tune the mbiras. They know how to, some of them, they know how to make mbira, to pound these wires. They know how to do it.
Educating people to say, well, an instrument is an instrument. One, but also I think what would help is restructuring the curriculum, music, because then, like I said earlier, in these schools they have the syllabus, the music syllabus or the music curriculum is so much biased towards Western music education. And so I think, I've been to schools where it's like there's no music, but they have music teachers, and you ask them why they don't teach music, and they'll be like, oh, we don't have instruments. And when they talk about not having instruments, they're talking about we don't have a piano, or we don't have a keyboard. But they can get these instruments, very cheap, and they can also make them themselves, But so I think we need to restructure the curriculum in such a way that we have a component of on instruments, so people can actually, learn how to play these instruments and be proud of themselves, be proud of their musicianship, to be able to say, oh, I'm a kalimba player, because of course, when somebody says I'm a pianist or a guitarist, it sounds, like, oh yeah, wow, you're up there, as opposed to I play kalimba. So I think it's bringing these instruments up to that level where it's like, okay, these are also instruments like any other. So definitely, I think it would help if we restructure the curriculum, and that's what we're trying to do at Copperbelt University. We're trying to kind of like have that as our main thing, where it's like you focus more on traditional musical instruments. But if that can happen in schools, then it will help us connect between the Western music and our own,
When my kids started to play those marimbas, I was teaching them how to play them, and other kids from nearby, they were enjoying the sound, and then they wanted to come, and they also wanted to learn. So I started to give them parts, and then we could make a nice music with those kids using just 2 pieces of marimbas. And a lot of kids started to pour in, like, oh, we want to join in. And then I was like, oh, no, okay, I have to make it bigger. We did a setup of, like, every Saturday and Sunday, racing music here. And then from Monday to Friday, you guys have to concentrate with your schoolwork. But I can tell you, every day they could come. And then I was like, no, you have to, no, I've done my homework. Look, I'm done. So now I want, okay, play, every day they are here. Yeah. So, yeah, we started with the 13 kids, but now we have over 40 right now. Okay. So, yeah. And the good thing is, we are not just doing music with them. Yeah. It's not just music. Okay. Here we teach them a lot of things.
I think on that, so far, other curriculums, they do have Mbira in their curriculums. But on that, I think it's not really fair, or they are not doing it up to the fullest. Because what they normally do is they put Nyunga Nyunga to the front in many schools. You'll be surprised, you might go to a school, they only have Nyunga Nyunga. They do not have Enari, they do not have a Dongwanda or any other type of Mbira. To an extent that some of the students, they think Nyunga Nyunga is the only Mbiras that's there available. And you'll be very surprised that even those that are scared of using Mbira in their ceremonies, religious ceremonies, they might be willing to use Nyunga Nyunga, but not willing to use Nare. So I think that same curriculum, if it puts all the types of the Mbira on the same level, not only putting Nyunga Nyunga on the grid, on the focus, I think it can be another way of letting the kids get to understand.
If the government were serious about maintaining or preserving our culture, such a thing should be done. No, I'm here.
Yeah.
For example, yeah. I do nothing here.
Yes.
But there are schools around here. It's not even one headmaster has ever invited me to come and teach the children at least something. I don't want. I'm here. I once was invited to the School of Music there. When Mr. Timbe was still there, Mr. Timbe, and Mr. Martinure, the late Mr. Martinure. I went there. After I taught the students what I knew, my colleagues did not like it, did not like me. Yeah, I could read it from their faces. Yes, I taught the actual thing. The actual thing. Then the students started to say, Mr. Chawasarira, we would like you to come here often and teach us. So that way, you seem as if you want to take their way. And they will try to ignore you as much as they can. That's one bad thing about us. I am here. There are schools around me here. The headmasters, some of them know me as one who can train children how to make the karimba and t-shirt. But none of them has ever invited me. That's one big problem. But if the government were to say, invite those who are able, those gifted elder people, into your schools. But as long as it is not for, I mean, it is done for free, there will be a question again. The government has to employ them to make sure that at least those elder people who know something will get something, I mean, a token of appreciation.
The thing I've come to learn so much about collaboration is that you get to learn a lot. Because as musicians, we are all born and wired differently. Yeah. So collaborations, especially, not just international, even around. Because collaborating, the word itself, means coming together. So even as a young guitarist starting a young musician, I learned a lot through playing with different people. We used to call it jamming. You sit down, you jam. Each time you jam with somebody different, trust me, you're going to find something you do not know. So, apart from like learning something, you also broaden your network. Because when I meet with you, we jam, I go somewhere, I'm going to talk about you. You go your way, you're going to talk about me, something else. So like that, our network broadens as musicians. Apart from our cultures blending, learning from each other, we also broaden like our networks. Yes, where you go, you mention my name, miles away from where I am. Where I am, I'm far away from you, but I'll still mention your name to say, okay, at least this is something. This is a friend of mine who I know. Yeah, so collaborations really like help, especially musicians, to like network around. Yeah, it's, I really I'm a firm believer in like collaborative work. Yeah, that's why even in my project there's like a number of them that I considered and are in there. Yeah, because of that.
Yeah, diversity.
Yes, diversity. Yeah.
I think collaborations are a way of not only linking with others, but they are also a way of preaching what you have to the next musician. They might learn one or two aspects of traditional stuff and incorporate in their music, and me also. I might. In fact, definitely I will. I'll learn also a few things from them, the same things that I will also have to incorporate in my art. So there is no way a lion can live in its own den alone. Exactly. We need each other. So collaborations, they're cool. I'm okay with them.
I think, collaborations, people, for me, collaborations are, a collaboration is an opportunity to learn, and I've done quite a few collaborations. For example, when I performed in Toronto, I can't remember, maybe 3-4 years ago, and I live in Pittsburgh, so I lived in Pittsburgh, then I had to travel to Toronto, but I didn't bring a band. There's there's a band in Toronto, Canada. What's the name? Teach Mareza, something like that. They are Zimbabweans, you know, and so I traveled to Toronto by myself. I rehearsed with these guys, and I mean, I could feel it's so close, like they had no trouble whatsoever interpreting my music, especially that I was also playing there, you know. So I agree with you, and also it's interesting to look at what's going on along the borders. You know, so for example, border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, there is this interchange of like language. So you find people on the Zambian side can speak a little bit of that language, and those people can speak a little bit of the Zambian, you know. Even the music too is the same thing. So like you say, migration. So I feel like these groupings that share some cultural identity. So for example, so all these people that came from the Lula Kingdom, like Bembas, even Sengas, and you know, their languages are similar, and so what it means is that even their music is a little similar. You know, you can identify some similarities between. So yes, and I think through these collaborations we would be able to highlight those more, but also highlight the similarities among these like different style music cultures, so to say.
Kuti nditengese ndozvitorerwa ndizovana vakaundipa cheuri neukwanyiwa vako iyewo iyewo uku ndiko kutsa kudumbu nekumusana vakomana wona kachigamba chinoda vakura we Ona kachigamba chinoda vakura Ona kachigamba chinoda vakura Takakura nazo zigamba chinoda vakura Ona kachigamba chinoda vakura Takakura nazo zigamba
Kunkana katatu kumbagaliolila Kunkana Kunkana katatu kumbagaliolila Kunkana Kunkana katatu kumbagaliolila Sini kuziba iwe Rambira
Yeah.